Hello everybody, this is just a quick update from me on the action RPG series that I've been working on for quite a bit of time now. I regularly update people on my Patreon about all this stuff and how it's going and what I made this week or last week and so on. But people have been asking about the stuff on YouTube, and I know there haven't really been tutorials and stuff on YouTube, and I did say that this was going to be a thing, and this project was going to take some time to before you really start to see the fruits of it. And obviously, while I'm working on this, you're not really going to be seeing many regular other tutorials, and I've had all kinds of stuff going on. But I'm aware that people on YouTube aren't, you're not getting those weekly updates from me on Patreon, and it's reasonable that you guys might kind of forget some of the things I said before, or not really know where I'm at or what's going on with this. I've seen people have been asking in the comments, like, when's the action RPG, and asking for updates on it. So I figured I'd show you a little bit of it now and where we're at. So I mean, I've got this little cat, you can move around, you can roll and roll into stuff, and read signposts. There we go, he's got signposts. We've got these hearts, which I did that little mini video on. We can come through here, we've got transitions, we've got kind of a dynamic camera and that kind of thing, and we've got a bunch of stuff. It's not moved along a lot in the last couple of weeks though. Admittedly, I've done a little bit of artwork here and there, but some of the code is really kind of slowed down to a bit of a standstill. I've got Norwich Gaming Festival coming up like in a week, which is something I'm taking my game Pokepoke to. So I mean, if you've been following me on Twitter, you'll have seen me doing a lot of Pokepoke stuff over the last few days. I'm trying to get a build ready for that. But also, aside from that, and aside from some of the other work I've been doing and stuff that's been distracting from this project, which has definitely had an effect. But one of the main things is honestly just the approach I've been taking to this project has kind of slowed me down a little bit, and I want to talk a bit about that and how I'm changing that up going forwards. So in writing the code for this, I've been doing something that I tend to tell people not to do when they're making games, and a lot of people in Game Maker, people I know, give this advice quite often, is to not slow yourself to a standstill by always trying to pick the very best approach and very best option for doing something and for approaching stuff and for writing your code, and to get things working. What you should do is then focus on getting things working. Don't optimize until you have a problem that needs optimizing, whereas I've been doing kind of the opposite. I've been actually working really slowly to try and get the best solutions to problems, and because I figure for a tutorial, that's where you want it, right? This is, if I'm showing people how to do stuff, I want to be showing people how to do the best thing that they can do, and at the same time wanting to show people the simplest method that they can understand. So there's like these two desires, like for the work, just pulling it in different directions and trying to find this mystical balance that it's very, very hard to find. It's already like impossible. You can go forever trying to optimize code for any game, for any system, to make it the absolute best way of structuring. And there often is no absolute best way to structure many problems. It's all about readability and so on. But I've been trying to do that, and then also trying to pull it back a little and make it simple, and this has just made it take forever plus one. So I've just been stuck on certain systems because I've been thinking too much about how those systems would impact other systems and so on, and thinking like, well, if I'm going to do the inventory like this with that menu, how is it going to feed into the items and feed into everything else, and how is it going to feed in? Which are all important things to think about, but I'm spending a bit too much time thinking about them, and that's not good. And so I still want to give a good tutorial that gives a good grounding in how to do all the stuff that you want to do in an action RPG, but what I'm going to do is be a bit quicker about it. I'm going to start picking options that lean much more heavily towards the simple side of things and to getting things done in ways that don't necessarily scale super well. This is me giving you a heads up of that, and I will mention this during the series and during the videos as well. And what I'm going to do, though, is because I still want people to then come out of this stuff being able to build stuff that does scale well and is manageable, is what I want to do is then, once we've done the series that's actually like based a lot in very simple methods to things that maybe aren't the cleanest or maybe aren't the most scalable methods, is follow the series up with not a ton of videos, but just like a few videos here or there, just picking on specific systems and specific things and showing you how you can rewrite it in ways that are more scalable and better. Once you have a grounding on how to make the thing happen, go back and look at how to improve some of those structures and make them more scalable, because that's the time that you would want to do it. We get the prototype working, we get everything, and we can test it design ways and understand everything that we want to have in the game and how it should all function and fit together, which is super important. And then once we've done that, we can optimize those systems based on what we know we have and what we know we need in order to make the game we want to make, in order to make it more scalable, future-proof, and manageable. It feels more like the way around you would actually do it if you were making a game, and it also feels like doing it this way means I'm actually going to get it done ever, right? Which is obviously very important. So that's the plan. We're going to keep things a little bit more simple, not disastrously so. We're not going to take I'm not going to take intentionally dirty methods of doing things, but I am going to do sort of, the first solution that works well enough, and, isn't horrible practice. And then with it in mind, to come back and look at some of those systems and think like, okay, so if this is a system that works, how can we make it so that it scales as well as possible? Now, some of these early ones I've actually already hyper optimized, like some of the throwing stuff and so on. Like I've gone through and iterated on hundreds and way too many times, basically, and is already pretty solid. But I'm sure even some of that stuff can go further. And this is cool because it gives us the freedom to then I don't have to always strike that one balance of like, oh, this is close to the best. This is as close to the best way as I can get without making it impossible to explain and just ruining the flow of the series, So what I can do is I can focus heavily on the flow of the series and focus on getting things done and making things simple, and then have the best of both worlds by at the end coming back and saying, here's the absolute, bee's knees way to do that. So that gets us everything we want. So I think that's going to be the better way to look at this going forward. And that's what the plan is. So that's where I'm at. That's all I was really making this video to show you. I'm not going to put Patreon credits on this video because I always feel weird about doing that on just quick little update things like this. Like it's not really like a piece of work as such, it's just an update. But nonetheless, I want to give like a huge shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. You all know who you are, who have been super patiently funding this work. They're the ones who decided they wanted me to do it in the first place. And they're the ones who are responsible for it happening at all. So don't thank me for making this stuff. You want to go and thank all the people who are funding it, because they are superheroes. So thank you, all those people. The only other thing going on with me is PokePoke. So my $20 Patreon supporters can look forward in next week for NGF. As I said, I'm working on a new build of PokePoke, and my $20 supporters, they will get access to the build that I make for that. They'll be among the only people in the world who'll get to play PokePoke in its current state. The only other people being the dev team and anyone who shows up to Norwich Gaming Festival next week. So if you are in the Norwich area, you can come play PokePoke as well. So I don't know how much of my audience that is, but if it is, yeah, you can come play the game. If you are interested, by the way, in more of these updates, because I know I don't post a whole lot of stuff on YouTube, I try and keep people updated of major things like in the community tab. I don't know how well people get notified of that kind of thing. And I try and do these kind of videos occasionally. But if you do want more info, I do weekly updates on Patreon that I don't think you even have to pledge for, because I make all those public. So I think what you can do now on Patreon is you can just hit follow on the page and you'll get notified. You'll get all that stuff if you really want the regular info and lowdown on what I'm doing, what the progress is with this. I do some pretty in-depth talk sometimes about just specific code bits and things, or just stuff going on with my life and jazz like that. If you are interested, you can go get that. I'm pretty sure you can just get that stuff for free now. So yeah, that's everything. I've run out of things to say. Thanks for watching. Catch you all next time.